Hey guys, happy Wednesday and welcome to Morning Joe with me, Jim. So, if you watch the news, or especially if you're in the housing market and you're pre approved and looking for a house, you know one thing, and you know mortgage rates are rising. And they rose again yesterday, quite a bit, actually. It's not fun to watch from my perspective, but it's reality, right? And so, the natural question that I get quite a bit, and it's a very valid question, is should I pay points? Should I buy the rate down? Well, first of all, I'm going to say what a point is. It's industry terminology, right? Every industry has its industry speak, and points are part of that. A point, and I don't know how I got well, I guess I do know how I got the name. It doesn't really matter. A point is just 1% of the loan amount. This is the definition of it, right? 1% of the loan amount that's prepaid interest. So it buys your interest rate down permanently to a lower interest rate because you're paying part of the interest up front, right? So 1 point equals 1% of the loan amount. And it buys the rate down, rule of thumb, by a quarter point in interest. So let's look at an example and I'll show you. Well, we'll just look at the numbers, frankly, and see if it makes sense to pay points at all. Okay, this one's a little hard to read, so we'll walk through it together. It'll make a lot of sense, right? It's a mortgage points or credit calculator. So let's just say we have a loan amount of $500,000. I did a simple math. It could be 200,000, it could be a million, whatever. But here, let's say it's 500,000, and let's say the rate with no points is 6.25%. 30-year fixed rate, 6.25. Now, let's say you pay a point, 1% of the loan amount, right? And which is $5,000 in this case. And that buys the rate down about a quarter point, and you actually get a 5.99 because it feels better to have a 5 point something as opposed to 6 point something. And I admit that. And I hope we get back there soon with no points. So 1 point equals $5,000, right? So let's look at it. Your term is 30 years, you paid a point, etc. The payment different. Let's just go to the payment difference. By buying the rate down, paying that $5,000 rather, you save $84 a month. Your payment goes down by $84 per month because you saved a quarter point in interest, so it goes down to $84 a month. Let's say, but it takes 59 months to break even, to recover the cost, right? Let's call it 60 months just for round numbers, and that's 5 years. If you instead just said, well, let's just put the 5,000 into the mortgage so it's equity, right? No, you no longer have a loan amount of 500,000. Now it's 495,000 because you paid it into the mortgage instead of buying the rate down. Rate is still 6.25 in this example, but it does take 94 months to kind of break even or catch up with paying points. So it's longer, obviously, but it's equity, and I kind of like that better. So when should you pay points? When should you not? Well, in a rising interest rate environment, it's very tempting to pay points and buy the rate down, especially if you go from 6 point something to 5 point something. It feels better, for sure. So the difficulty is we're heading into a recession, if not already there. Officially, we're not. It hasn't been declared a recession, but let's face it, it feels and looks like, and if it looks like a recession, tastes like a recession, and feels like a recession, you know how that goes. Every time now, I don't know if I can share my screen this way, but if I can, I will. I had trouble doing this last time, and sharing yeah, it's not going to let me do it. I don't know why. Anyway, I have a PowerPoint thing that I'll show you probably tomorrow. And what it shows is every time we go into recession, what mortgage rates have done. Like literally every time we go into recession, mortgage rates drop. They go up significantly headed there, and then they drop fairly significantly during the recession. So why do I say that? Mortgage planning, right? If rates have gone up as much as they have, and they have, uh, I would buy now. I wouldn't put off buying a home, but I wouldn't pay points. In fact, I might do the opposite and go with an even higher rate and get a credit. So that's the opposite of points, right? It reduces your closing costs. Instead of adding to them, it reduces your closing costs, and you have a slightly higher payment, maybe $40 a month more or something like that. I would do something like that right now. because the opportunity to refinance, if history repeats itself, is coming and coming relatively quickly. A year, 2 years, maybe three. I don't think it'll be three, but I don't know for sure. But sometime in that, well before five, well before that 5-year break even mark that we saw when you pay points, well before that, you'll have the opportunity to refinance probably around 4.5%, maybe a little lower, something like that. I suspect is where rates will fall to in fairly short order. So you don't want to pay points if you're not going to recoup the cost at that point. Save the ammo, so to speak. Keep your powder dry. So when rates fall, you refinance, go from 6.25 to 4.5 or something similar. Then you might pay a point and go to 4.25 or 4.125 or something like that. But save the ammo for that and just absorb the higher payment for a year or 2 years, whatever it takes, and wait for that fall. So mortgage planning 101, but that's what I would do and I'm recommending to buyers to do right now. Either that or do an adjustable rate mortgage, like a 7/1 ARM or something like that, where the rate's fixed for 7 years, then adjust, because I don't think you'll be in the rate for the full 7 years to get to the adjustment period. If I can help you get pre-approved and kind of plan, let's do it today before they arrive. I'll talk to you soon.